Welcome to Bottom Line Sports Talk. I'm George Abraham. You know my partner Albert Cameron. Albert, I hope our viewers are staying safe, doing their part to hopefully, at some point, hopefully sooner than later, put an end to this shutdown, the whatever you want to call it, quarantine, depending on what part of Pennsylvania you're in. And the whole state of Ohio is still under what I would call lockdown, although it's not quite that serious.
And as a follow-up to that, the Ohio High School Athletic Association, no contact policies, all of them all the way back to June 1st. Prohibits any coach, any volunteer, no coaching, no instruction, no supervision of anything in the schools. I'll tell you what, there's coaches and players that are flying high right now, just trying hard to meet with their teammates or getting it, but not in Ohio. There's a penalty for it.
All school facilities are closed. Coaches and athletes, the governor says nothing.
Yeah, and the head coach will sit out the first round of the postseason if they try to go past that law. Other penalties could be happening. So they're really serious about this, and we understand it as we sit here today doing our show that everything has to be put in place, and everything's week by week, day by day. George, you're not sure, and even Jerry Snodgrass, the executive director of Ohio, said they're trying to prepare for every scenario. They're not sure either which direction to go, and what cancellations have to take place, and when are sports going to be taking place in August or September. Just a wait and see attitude when we come to the sports realm that we're trying to discuss today.
He claims, somebody, social media. A lot of doctors on social media without degrees.
Right.
A lot of people get their information from, just bogus sources. But he said there was a rumor going around on social media that they would switch the fall and spring, and he said there hasn't enough time.
Can't do it. No, he said, that would take a lot of, things that we just talked about to a guy with the bus company, that people don't realize that how the buses are affected with what's going on here.
The thing I will say, the bell cow of all is college football. That will be the last thing in my mind to shut down. You agree?
Yeah, well, they're going to try every way they can, because if they don't have money, the institutions are going to shut down. Not just the sports. They're saying they're going to lose a lot of sports. They depend on 7 games, 100,000 fans a game, all that money.
Penn State, Ohio State, all the big boys, Tennessee, Alabama, Texas,
whatever you call
all the big boys depend on full stadiums, donors, people. There's another thing I just thought of this second. If people aren't working, donations are going to get down also.
They have to get out. They have to. So all these things are a major part of it. We believe that the NFL is going to play. I don't know how they're going to play, but they are going to play.
I heard something you'll like. This is right up your alley. Baseball, no replay. Al Campbell doing a big hallelujah.
Hallelujah's right.
Because they're going to have it in minor league parks. Is supposedly, and there's no replay technology.
Going back to the baseball that I love, that you're allowed to make mistakes. Umpires, players, fans, we're human. We make mistakes. And I have a follow up on that let's use replay to make sure we get it right. That's what they told me, and I'll be the first to say that if that happened, then I've been more happy.
I remember when it happened.
They don't get
and
it right.
I said, Albert, they're going to get it right, and did we come to find out they didn't anyway?
Well, I know they look at it for 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes.
Yeah,
I know they don't know.
I'll call him and I'll go, how long this is taking? Obviously, it wasn't obvious.
Yes, it's supposed to be.
That should be the rule. 30 seconds.
That is the rule.
And if you can't see in 30 seconds, then it wasn't obvious.
Yes.
Was it clear and whatever the word?
You just stay with what the call was, and if you missed it, you missed it. But they're not going to sit there for 7 hours.
Absolutely, Al. Absolutely. You're dead on. We learned the hard way. Originally I thought, oh man, this is great. You're going to get everything right. Then I'm watching a guy catch a ball, put his foot down, and they said, he was juggling or right. There are times in the NFL that they make it up as they go. Anytime I see that tuck play, I look and I say, no, they're making it up as they go.
They did make it up.
Of all the calls I've ever seen,
Brady said,
and I'm not a Raider fan, and I'm not a Patriot hater like a lot of people either. I'm a fan. That was out and out robbery.
Yeah, Brady even said it. When the ball went out,
game was over.
I was walking out, this game's over. Even if they're looking, he said they can't change
No, they
this.
can't change.
And Belichick goes on the rules committee, said, hey, wait a minute, don't say that when he came to the sideline.
Yeah.
I know there's a rule in there that says, and he knew the rule, and Brady thought he was not saying it.
One thing about him, he has some shortcomings. He'll bend rules, but he knows them.
He knows the rules inside out.
Hey, Hubbard's going back from Division III from 4. That's got to be a big help.
Yeah, some major changes happening. Yep, and there's 5 area football programs that are changing divisions. Hubbard's going from 3 to 4. West Branch is going from 4 to 3. Carter Mooney from 5 to 4. Liberty moves up from 5 to 6. And Southern Local drops to Division 7 to 6. Some are happy, some not so happy. Hubbard, when they say that they're going to be the smallest now enrollment of anybody in Division 4, they would have been the big king in 3, and now that's just the way it works. So we'll see what happens.
One's the biggest. Right?
Yeah, one is the biggest in Ohio. Yes, one they go opposite of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania, 4's the biggest in Ohio.
Hubbard was in 4 would have been happy.
And 7.
In 4 they would have been they would have been the biggest, and now they're the smallest in 3. So
and we do believe of all the sports, enrollment affects football the most because of the numbers.
No question.
I could have a pretty good basketball team at a little school. It's hard to have a real good football team when you only have 20-some dressed.
Yes, it's true. So
it's about impossible.
Yeah, so Hubbard will be happy, and Carter Mooney will be playing a little tougher from 5 to 4. So it depends which way you look at it, George. Some coaches are elated, others are not.
You wonder about how when they count the kids. My buddy, a couple schools in PA, my buddy says he thinks a few Jimmies are Jennies. He can't prove it, but there are a couple schools over there that seem a little larger than they're in Rome. And he said, I have a feeling a couple of these Jimmies are Jennies when they count them. He said, but I have no way to know.
I like that. So, they're doing it. We don't see it. We don't know. You can only hope they're telling the truth.
Yeah. That's all you can do.
It's a fact.
Honest administrator. You think most administrators are honest. I'll one thing. I'll be critical on occasion, but I know very few that are dishonest.
Well, most of the administrators that I know don't care about the sports anyway.
That's the other.
You understand?
Yeah, I know.
They care. They really do care about what's happening academically. Only the ex-coaches or ex-ADs that might become principals.
Yeah. And then sometimes they forget too. Yes. I've seen some teachers get on school boards and all of a sudden they forgot they were teachers.
Right.
Now, today, the crux of the show is what makes a player a great player. Now, they throw the terms around. Oh, you should see this girl from, I go to the game. Call Elle. I said, Elle, she's not in a stance off the ball. She doesn't help her teammates. I would think I would use the word great. Very good.
Yeah. Oh, no. There's a lot of very good players.
Very good. Yeah.
Lots of very good players. George and I have broken it down into what's great. We are very critical thinkers with regards to greatness. There are players that think they're great or players that other people call great that we don't consider great. We call them very good. There's a difference between the word. The greatest do these things that we wrote down that enables them to be great. And the first one is we know talent takes over. So there's no chance for you not to be great if you're not talented.
No.
You can't do it.
But we will say unrequited genius is around every corner. A lot of people never quite reach their potential because they won't dig down when it hurts a little bit. We've talked about it. We've trained kids. We said 35,000 point scores. That might be conservative.
Right.
But the one thing they had in common was they were hard workers.
Yes, and so that was.
Did we ever have a lazy guy? Or no, I don't think we did.
No,
because I don't think our personality, they would have jived.
Yeah, we would have allowed them there. Right, first, we would have told them to go home.
We'd have probably chased them. Yeah.
Work ethic, because greatness is included in work ethic. You talk to the great players, coaches, or ADs, and we had an opportunity to talk to Frank Jesse, who was the athletic director for LeBron when he's at St. V's.
I admit it surprised me.
And he said, I'd be setting up for a volleyball net, and I'd hear this voice, and it'd be LeBron saying, Mr. Jesse, could you wait another hour and a half before you put the volleyball nets up, or I'll put them back up for you because I need to get an hour and a half workout in. So everybody just sees LeBron's great talent, and he has that. But let's add another layer to that he puts the work in. And, George, I'll tell you what makes the stand. We didn't mention this on our other show. He's never hurt. So he takes care of himself, too.
Takes care of his body.
Yes, he does.
Stretches, works out.
Does everything the right way.
Now that you say that just rang a bell for me. He is on there. And this load management stuff, that was never his intention.
No, really, it isn't. Never. He never said what the coach said.
Hey, one good thing, if the NBA comes back, we got to deal with that every other day. If they play every other day, that's going to be an issue.
I know.
And the old timers like
so bad.
Havlicek had to look at that and say, load what?
Yeah, so we know talent is precious. We know that only a few have it.
Yeah.
But to refine it, your work, and make yourself into the best player you can be, it takes extra time. For you high school kids watching the show, we know George makes the point that boys and girls practice one after the other.
Yeah, it's hard to get an extra 500 shots up because the girls are waiting outside. In the old days, you could stay. I don't know how many guys I stayed with. And then when the women came, I think it was 79, 78, and basically at 5 o'clock,
changed.
Oh, and I was at George Jr. They had rec at 6 o'clock, and they had to get those guys in that gym blow a little steam off so they didn't tear the cottages up. So absolutely at 6:00,
yes,
I was off the floor.
So what does that mean? That means you have to be creative, and you must get in before school starts. And there aren't many schools that would say, we don't want you in there if the coach is with you. You just say to the coach, I want to come in. I want to get my work in from 6 o'clock to 6:45. I want to get that work in so I get the extra 45 minutes in. There's a way to get it done, and the great ones do it. Also, the great ones, and you watch them play, they hate losing. George, they probably hate losing more than they like winning. Just it's in them.
It's the thing I don't like about AAU is that if you win, you play at 3. If you lose, you play at 2 anyway.
Yes, I don't like that either.
No.
It's a good point. We haven't brought that up, and that brings. Okay, I lost. So what? Because we're going to play again.
In an hour.
Yes. And
remember, in the old days, we go to the park. If we lost, we sat 4 or 5 games.
Yes, and that competitive
play a little harder.
That competitive fire was in every big guy's tackled.
Absolutely.
When it was 6-6 winning hoop. You were not scoring that winning hoop unless you're a very good player. Great players win games. That's all I can tell you is because that greatness happens that way. Very seldom does a great player not become a winner also. That's why I have a hard time putting Barkley and Iverson in the greatness or the great talents. Yes, that's a difference. They're great talents. But I don't think either one of them thought practice was important. And I think, and when you don't practice hard, then all of a sudden you accept losing a little easier. I really despise guys that clown around during games and after games when they've lost. I always thought that was important to me that you cared.
I want to perceive that they cared. I know a lot of people. Oh, you're old. You're old.
I am old.
I just know that I like to see. The Pistons walking off the floor. This Jordan show is. And I know it's bad sportsmanship, but it didn't upset me nearly as badly as if they'd have been laughing at all.
Oh yes, laughing would have killed me a lot more.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's bad sportsmanship.
Yeah, I don't like it. No. I didn't say I like that.
No,
but I was sure it hurt worse if I saw them laughing.
I agree.
This one's big with George and I.
Top.
You know, the ability to take and process coaching. Great players want to be coached, George.
How many coaches did Jason Kidd get fired? Started with
Fly Campanella, great.
Coach Campanella.
He's great talent.
Yeah.
He's not a great player.
The coach yells at you, and you go up to the general manager. You have your agent do it, and your agent calls. He says, "Hey, Al's not happy." Well, Al's not happy. You know, what's the problem? Coach yelled at him at practice, so they were running.
How about this?
Yeah.
That this and the quote I put down is the game of basketball is overcrowded with players who can't be coached. How can you be considered great if you know you need to improve on your jab and go and jab and cross, but you don't want to take the time to listen to your coach because that's not important to you? So when he's yelling at you, get yourself in a better triple threat, you just look.
I remember I did a clinic at Youngstown. I spoke. Coach Stroyer was the coach at the time. He said something about our stuff. He liked it. He said that he questioned whether or not his guys would be willing to do it. And I remember thinking, what?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to get better? But there are people. I played with a guy in college. Terrific player. Terrific. But you couldn't coach him.
And therefore never got as great as he could have been.
No, without a doubt.
No. Bobby Knight, who was when he was young, he was my hero, and then later I threw him away.
Turn on a bully.
Yeah. But he said my first clinic, and he said a great coach and a great player will get together because the coach will demand what he wants, and the player will love to hear it. He said you must be demanding as a coach, and only demand 2 or 3 things. Well. You know, in the game of basketball, you must play as hard as you can. That's the first thing. A great player will say, "Coach, that's what I do." There's not even a question. That's the way they play, George.
They're wired differently.
Yes,
they want to do the extra. They want to win the line drill. They want to, and that's why the greatness of Michael Jordan, the young kids that missed him and think he's the sneaker guy. They're seeing on this
show you can see
show that he's all business, and when he's between those lines, baby, it's
Steve Kerr, who for you young guys know well because the head coach of the Golden State Warriors with Curry and Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't working hard one day in practice, and Jordan punched him in the face.
Cool.
He said, and best thing is Kerr said. I fought back. We were fighting on the floor, rolling on the floor, and Jordan gained a great respect for me because I know I wasn't doing right, but I fought from that point on. Though I practiced hard every day.
Well, when he's going hard, it's a lot easier. Like, how do you coach that team if he's loafing? Like, what's your story on Barkley?
No question.
They got a new coach.
Yeah, Jim Lynam was so excited about taking over the Sixers, and he had plans. He had worked on this for months upon months of how the Sixers were going to get better. And he came to his first practice and said, "Today's an expectation day, boys. Let me share with you what we're going to do and how exciting this is going to go through these practices." And Barkley just raised his hand. He said, "Yes, Charles, Coach, I don't come to practice." Well, you know, what do you say when he was given the most talented man in the world?
You know, a guy like Will Chamberlain. Same way, they wanted to have a shoot around.
Do you know
they didn't have as
many championships they should have had?
They have 7.
That's what I'm saying.
Instead of 2.
Yes.
Because Russell's got, 9?
Yes.
And I think the talent factor went to 10.
I'm reading a book on Russell right now, and that's what he did. And he talked about he could not get on the floor. He'd run down like a maniac because that's the way he played.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Wilt never played. And Wilt was more talented than Russell.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Play any role. Every great player will say, "Okay, what do you need from me today, Coach?" And hey, they're going to be double teaming you all over the floor. When you see Harry underneath the basket for a layup, make sure you get it to him.
Mm-hmm.
The great players finally decide, George, that I'll do anything I want. How about defensively? They'll guard.
That's when you know you have a good team. You young coach. Wait till at one point you're playing a good team. One of your guys raised his hand and said, "Coach, can I guard 23?"
Right.
Because now you've got something special. I've had a million guys that would take a shot, but I want to know who wants to defend against one last shot to win the game.
How about that point? Is that are we leading into what greatness is? If it was only greatness, just look at the stats every year and say, okay, the leading scorer, he's the best player. You know, that is not greatness. Now it happens many times because that's how great LeBron and how great Jordan are. But it doesn't always happen. You know, and Bill Russell fits that. Bill Russell was average, 11, 13 points a game and would dominate the game from start to finish. There's a way to be great. They all play to win. They all take coaching, and they all do anything they can. Any role they can to win.
What's necessary to win, right? I'll do it.
And the number one role we just talked about. This separates the men from the boys in basketball. How can you be the best athlete in the world and be a good dominating offensive player, and they have to hide you on defense because you won't guard somebody?
I don't know how many times I've said, why can't this kid take that same pride, whether the crossover,
yes, pride's a good word.
Why can't he take the same pride in his defense? Because if he did, we'd be really special.
And we hate that common excuses. He's saving his energy for offense.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of excuse is that? There's no excuse. There is no excuses.
No.
Great players make no excuses.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it is. It's a full court game.
That's why there's so few of them, though.
Called greatness.
We're not saying they're not very good.
No.
But greatness, you play both ends.
Yeah, because one of the things that makes basketball different than other sports, you have to play basketball.
Yeah, they're defenders.
You have to play offense and
They
defense.
just play defense.
Yeah, in football, I'm a great defensive. I don't
Baseball, they'll pitch hit for it.
Yes.
They'll use the DA.
Yes. In basketball, you got to play both ends of the floor.
Right.
George has greatness. Al has greatness. Circle only a certain amount of players. Somebody who think they say it's great, George come back and call me and say, they're not great. I said, why, George? I thought she scored 37 points.
Yeah.
She did.
And you have to make your team win, too. If your team doesn't win, all that other stuff's out the window.
Yeah, there's no question.
And a lot of college coaches are big on recruiting high school kids from winning.
I would be.
Yeah.
I always thought that a kid who found a way to win games in high school would find a way to win games in college. Remember, talent comes first.
Why would
you heard us say, talent comes first.
Yeah, no talent. It doesn't matter. What Bill Boardman used to say about speed, you have it or you chase it.
Yes.
It's that simple.
So I can categorize greatness in other ways, but we're talking about basketball getting to the highest level. But I've had players take their ability to the best they could get. They're great in my eyes. Yeah. That part of great. We're not talking about the best. We're talking about the best players in the world.
How about being a student of the game with all the available resources? I heard a guy today. Jameis Winston said no one ever taught him anything about quarterback. He had to learn it on YouTube.
Somebody said.
Yeah. And that's Arians. That's a direct shot at Arians.
Wow. He's talking about pros too?
That's what he said.
Well, I thought he was talking about high school. High school.
No, he said he's glad to go to Sean Payton because he had to learn on YouTube
the intricate things about playing basketball. Well, when you look at students of the game, there are many stories out there about why you study the game, why you play a game a certain way. And I played with the greatest coach in Pennsylvania history. His name was Coach Ed McCluskey at Farrell. And he made it clear that, listen, if you're a student of the game, anytime you're playing on the defensive side of the ball, you should be getting a new offensive move from the guy you're guarding. It was a tremendous statement.
22 games, you get 22. You may get 7 or 8 moves. And boy, this guy, when he fakes that
guy, yes. I never saw that before. I'm going to practice it. And all of a sudden you add more greatness to your game. Yes. Yeah. More greatness to your game, George. And you said about today's world, there is no reason why.
No.
As a young kid, you cannot learn.
And some of these kids don't know the game. A couple years ago, I'm at the Grove City Sharon game. Team has a 1-point lead. The kid launches a shot from the corner
happens all the time.
With the lead. And I'm like, if he knew the game.
Yeah, that's my biggest worry with my grandsons. I'm teaching my grandsons how to play basketball. And that part of the game is I could talk about all day. They have to know the game themselves. They have to know time of possession.
Absolutely.
They have to know when you use this and why you don't use this, because there are certain times of the game you just can't do it. And that leads to the last one. Great players sooner or later will have trust in their game because they'll realize that they have to get their teammates better.
Teammates.
Yeah. Just have to trust their teammates.
Now let's talk about some of the greats. Jordan, Give the
Didn't
ball
start
to
that way.
Paxton.
Didn't start that
Give
way.
the ball to Kerr.
Right.
LeBron, it gets criticized
I don't like
for
that
giving
criticism.
up the last
I
shot.
don't like that criticism.
And in my mind, that says he's a team player.
He's always, he always has been. He's always been the best passing big man of all time.
I agree.
Yeah, he's going to be the top 5 in assists of all time because he'll share the basketball. He's always done that since even after St. Vincent he did that. And all the way through, he's always been a guy that trusts his teammates. People like playing with him in that part. Some of the reasons, sometimes they don't because he makes excuses. But other than that, there's that greatness in there that you learn to trust your teammates.
Absolutely. And I think trusting your teammates, something that goes along with that is being willing to see. In other words, if you're not willing to trust them, you're never going to know.
Yeah, the willingness comes from practice, and it comes in. Remember what we did in practice 2 days ago? When I penetrate this right lane, I put you in the left corner. Remember me hitting you? It's going to be open again today. We've already practiced this. Let's get it done. And then you got to trust your teammates. But in the pros, we're talking about pros now, the greatest of all greatest. They can make that 20-foot jumper wide open. I'm telling you, in high school, George.
Yeah, you might
You
have.
may have to take
you
that shot.
might have Opie Tegler in the corner, and you have to shoot it yourself.
And I understand it.
I
I told my kids that, by the way. I told my kids. I said, listen, I'd rather if you take a tougher shot.
Yeah.
Than
What are your better players?
The fifth player on my team.
We're in the pros, all 12
Oh
guys.
no, they all can play.
Exactly.
They all can make that shot in their
Or they
sleep.
wouldn't be there.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
I agree 100%. I hope we shared some ideas on what makes a player great, because it's very important to us, and hopefully maybe some of our younger coaches pick something up. Thanks again for watching Bottom Line Sports Talk. See you next week.